Matthew RYDER is an ex-military and sales expert who founded the company 7th Level Inc., where they train hundreds of people to master high-ticket sales. And in this video, we are going to break down one of the sessions he had with his students, where they were doing some role-playing, him playing the closer, the salesperson, and his student playing the prospect who was not sure if he wanted to invest or not in the program. And we are going to see exactly how he's skillfully framing the mind of the imaginary prospect here, from being mildly interested to being truly motivated about investing in the service.
So, hey, Brody, looks like you, obviously booked in a bit of time today to go over potential career change or learning more about cybersecurity. What is it that kind of attracted your attention booking the call today?
Just, like seeing the Adam speaking about like, you can do it in like 6 months or something. And like, so it's not too long.
Okay. Do what in 6 months?
Well, like, transition careers.
Okay. And like, what are you doing at the moment?
Like for work?
Yeah. What career would you like to transition from?
I just do construction, man. Just laborer.
Okay. And what are you doing at the moment to kind of, transition out of that and get into something in the air with air conditioning?
Honestly, man, like nothing really. Like I've only just.
Why is that?
Oh, what? Sorry?
Why is that?
I've only just like started looking, man. Like only in like the past maybe like 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay. And like, what kind of shifted for you where you wanted to start looking and I guess, get off the grind and come sit in a chair for a living like the rest of us?
Well, like, look, I don't mind working in the heat. Like that's all right.
Okay.
Like I can't handle working in the cold. Like it's getting to the cold winter months, just waking up at like 5 a.m. It's just like I'm freezing my ass. I have to wear like, 10 layers.
Okay.
Down here, and like I'd rather be indoors with heating.
Okay, that makes sense, man. And I suppose like, what sort of got you thinking about this? Like why are you, I guess, like making this a priority?
I guess like I've been in this role for like 4 years.
Okay.
Progression when it comes to money and everything. Like I'm doing the same thing day in, day out, which like, yeah, like I know, but it's just like there's nowhere really to go. Just rocking up to work.
Nowhere to go? Surely you can like move up, get a promotion.
Oh, you think, but it's just like the supervisor roles are like taken for people that have been there like 10, 20 years.
Okay.
So actually I did not know who Matthew RYDER was. It is one of my students who will recognize himself, who told me to check his stuff, and indeed when I saw that roleplay I recognized the huge level of skills this guy has. I don't know how much training he had in sales, but definitely a huge level of skills. So I thought it could be interesting to break that down. The really first thing we can notice from my perspective, and I guess he has different names to mention those to explain what happens here. What I can see is the difference between the present state and the desired state. What he's eliciting right now is basically those information. Eliciting a present state, so where your prospect is, and a desired state, where does he want to go, what will this look like when he finally accomplishes all his goals. The main purpose behind doing that in depth is to figure out the main pain points that are being mentioned by the prospect, so that you can push on those pain points later during the presentation, as he's going to do during this video. Fishing for pain points or emotional reactions of emotional distress is really important, because when you want to sell a service, provided you have something that legitimately helps people, even if you're the best at what you do, and even if you have a great service to sell, people are just not going to buy if they're not emotionally invested into what you sell. And one of the biggest complaints I heard from the people I had in coaching who were doing closing is the lack of emotional investment from their prospect. When they are doing the sales call and they try to get the person engaged before asking them to pay for something, and the guy is just not reactive at all. They're just like a blank piece of paper, not emotionally compelled, not motivated in any sort of way, and they don't know how to get the person motivated. Well, one of the greatest secrets, if we can call it that way, is to understand what is the biggest pain your customer is currently experiencing, so listen for what they say about what's going wrong in their life so that you can push on that later to make them realize that by investing they could actually get out of this. Which is what he does many times here by asking why is that, and whenever he's asking why is that, in a humorous way, because here it is not a real call, it is a demonstration, but when he's challenging, interrupting him and challenging with why is that, he's preventing him or like canceling the upcoming objections later by challenging early on all the excuses that will come up when they are starting to mention the price. Those excuses will come up, and challenging them early on frames the mind of the prospect to agree that the product can and will work for him.
Alrighty. And so I guess, like, you know, like what you're doing for a living and what you're doing to make money, like do you like it at least?
I mean, like I get a good workout.
Do you work at a gym?
No, I do construction, but you know,
Okay,
like,
what's doing a workout got to do with it? What do you mean?
oh well, like you know, I get a bit of physical like fitness in, but other than that, like the work's just it's kind of mediocre. It's tedious. Just physical.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know, it's not all doom and gloom, right? Like you've been doing it for 4 years. You haven't sort of ended your own life. So, like, what do you like about what you currently do?
I mean, the work environment's not bad. I get to work with like a few cool people and everything.
Okay.
The work environment's not the worst.
Okay. Well, it sounds like things aren't going terribly, man. I guess is there anything that changed about, I guess, either what you do for a living or I guess how much you make from that, the progression that you can have if you could?
Well, yeah, I'm only on like what 60, 65K, so it'd be nice to like be earning more with like the cost of living going up and everything.
Okay. And you're capped at that, is that right? Like you can't just do overtime or
Oh, I'm already working overtime. I'm doing like 50, 60 hours, work Sunday, so not Sunday, Saturday.
oh, well, at least you're single, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, all work and no play makes Brody a dull boy. Right?
Oh, basically, yeah. Don't have
Yeah.
time to go out at all. I'm just exhausted.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess just so I guess the rationale behind why you might be looking for, I guess, a different career that kind of has you not out there shivering in the cold, waiting 6 years to get a promotion and, you know, having to do 60 hours a week. Like, I guess, what's the main reason for looking to make that transition rather than just, you know, just kind of like climb that ladder, stay the course, you know, better the devil you know, right?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but man, like it's already been 4 years and this felt like
Yeah.
40, like 6 years is just like even longer. I'm just like, and I'm getting a few kind of like, you know, like tweaks in my body. It's just like, it's just sore when I go home. I don't want to
What do you mean? What do you mean tweaks? What do you mean?
like just like, you know, my hip flexors tighten up, like my hips. I go to chiropractor, like they're just kind of like out of line because, you know, the digging, the moving, the bending, all that
Okay.
shit.
That could be trouble.
Right here we are moving into the third phase of that presentation, where you elicit not the state of the person right now, but the blockages. If the person clearly knows what is their current life setup and what is their desired situation, they know where they want to go, but somehow they are still not there. And this relates to the blockages or the blocks, the main thing preventing that person from going from A to B, from where they are to where they want to be. Why is that again? Why did they not already accomplish that step, those quantum leaps? Why did they not already accomplish that? By asking what is the main reason for not just staying where you are, because yes, you may not like your situation, but you're still there anyway. So maybe there is some unconscious benefit you're still finding or experiencing by staying where you are. This helps to push already on those pain points. Because if the person hasn't moved, it means they still find comfort, but they might at the same time have a lot of guilt or shame for not being where they should be, or at least where they want to be. That is already kind of triggering some negative feeling. The higher the negative feeling is about wanting to escape their situation, the easier the close will be later during the final part of this presentation. If there is not enough pain, people just don't buy at a high amount of money for them, they just don't. That is sad that human beings are more motivated by escaping pain in many cases than by joining joyful experiences, but that is how many people motivate themselves. Unfortunately, they need to experience experience a high amount of pain before they can feel ready to finally invest the amount of actions and willingness to change what is going wrong in their life.
Alrighty. And I suppose, like, you know, what are you looking for? Like, what's a success metric? You know, let's just say we're able to kind of get you some skills and, you know, maybe ability to transition careers. Like, what kind of work environment, kind of job, what kind of pay packages are you actually looking for?
Well, I'd like to be on 100K if that's possible. I mean, the ad said if it was possible if you learn the right skills, so that'd be nice. Obviously,
Well, you're gonna learn the right skills.
oh yeah, I guess I'd have to then.
Okay. Well, then I guess it's possible then. What happens if you don't learn the right skills then?
Oh well, I won't get paid that much.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, working conditions, you said, I guess, you know, like you mentioned, like, I know before, like inside air conditioning, heater, don't
Yeah.
have to subbling shit outside.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind the office type of work.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, I haven't really done it yet. I haven't really tried it out. And I see
Okay.
people in all these, like, you know, suits, dresses, ties, whatever, like they're going to work in an office. Like,
Yeah. Or maybe even working from home. Dudes are going, you know, the mullet look, right? Their business up top and party down below. You know, on Zoom calls, just, you know, wearing nothing but what they were born in, right? With a tie. You know, good times. Yeah. You know,
what,
you
is
can't,
that possible, working from home?
I mean, yeah, like a lot of companies are doing like remote stuff. So, you know, would you like to do a Winnie the Pooh? Would you like to kind of walk around, you know, tops on, no bottoms? You know what I mean? That could be fun, right? You know, Winnie the Pooh look, right?
I mean, I do that when I wake up, so like, why not do it when I work?
Mate, why not? The dream, they call that, living the dream, right?
I do.
You know, you would pay them to work.
Right here, as you have seen, Matthew has been challenging, interrupting his prospect here, interrupting him by saying, are you not going to learn the right skills then? Because so far we have, okay, accepted that it was only a matter of skills. There is nothing else blocking you, the blockages blocking you than the skills to develop, fine. So when he starts narrating in his own head the reasons why he won't be able to succeed, he won't get the results, he's interrupting that, challenging again, canceling the excuses or the objections before they arise later once we talk about the price. He's canceling those objections earlier by challenging with what stops you from developing those skills. If it is only a matter of skills, what stops you from developing them? That might take a bit of time, but it is possible. What stops you from doing that? Many customers are more attached to the story they are narrating in their own head about why your product can't work than listening for your arguments. So the whole point of convincing with logical arguments, quite often it is a dead end unless you get somebody who's already super hyped about the product. Otherwise, you first need to identify the main story they are telling to themselves about why they won't succeed or about why your product can't help them, because they're so different. Their situation is so complicated, you can't understand. Well, if you can just cut that out from the beginning, they won't have anything else to argue against you later on. And when he's eliciting the vision of what it would be like to have 100K to make 100K, then it is the same idea of pushing on emotional hot buttons on the reverse. So far he was pushing on the pain points, on the pain buttons. This one is pushing on the positive emotional button. If you had already achieved everything, what else will happen? And I have also seen that mistake quite often in the people I train in that field. It is when they ask their prospect, so how will your life change if you succeed? The prospect might say like, oh, I will just feel so happy. And that's all they do, they don't dig deeper. But if you want the person to be emotionally compelled and engaged into your message, you have to get them to extract more information from how great and how better it is going to be once they succeed, compared to how painful it is to be where they are right now.
Okay, so you're looking at 100K. Right now you're making 60 and working, like 30 hours a week, you said?
50 or 60.
Oh, okay. All right. Snap a do. Right. All right. So you're making 60K or working 60 hours, right? And you're looking to, I mean, I could be wrong, but you're probably not looking to work 120 hours or 100 hours to make 100K, right?
Oh, I'd die.
Okay. All right. So you want to go from 60 and 60 to 140, I assume?
Yeah. Monday to Friday, 40-hour work week. I don't mind a little bit of overtime if I had to. because I'm used to
Okay.
like a couple of hours, but not like what I'm doing.
Yeah, okay. I can respect that. And like, I think you'd said like, what do you think is the linchpin between you being able to actually get to that 100K though?
The what? Sorry,
Like the linchpin, like what is that sort of little,
what does
like the
that mean?
key that you need? Like what's the thing that you
Oh, the
need?
key. The key. Okay.
Yeah. The right,
That's a good question.
it's the right.
Uh,
So let me say it for you.
well, I guess like
Starts with and in kills. The right
yeah, having the right skills,
skills.
obviously.
There you go. We got there in the end. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Alrighty. And so I guess before you started talking to me, have you actually been out there looking for ways to be able to acquire those skills so that you can kind of reduce your work hours to a normal and sort of make more money? Or like what have you been doing?
I mean,
By the way, he's fucking cooked. You got nothing. There's no way you get out of this.
yeah, I can see that. So I've been smiling. Oh well, basically, man, like as I said, I've been looking for like a couple of weeks, and like, like construction's kind of all I know. So I'm not like gonna like
Okay.
apply for roles because I know I'm gonna get rejected. But I saw like this
Okay.
training. This is kind of like the first training place I've seen.
Okay. Okay. And I guess, I want to make sure that kind of what we're doing would actually work for you. But like, what are you actually looking for in someone to kind of taking you through a new educational piece like this? Someone to kind of guide and mentor. What would be like your ideal criteria?
I guess having like a coach, like one-on-one, that could actually like give me some like personalized guidance and advice. That'd be helpful.
Okay. So you looking for like one-on-one, or are you looking for someone just to make sure that you're like mentored through, right? Because a lot of the
A
time,
bit of
like
both. Like,
having to wait a week to talk to someone for an hour, like, or would you rather have sort of just a really good back and forth where you can make sure that you're doing the right thing on a daily basis and being able to walk through the process? Like, is that what you're
yeah,
looking for?
Right here, he is giving a small recap of the situation so far, what any advanced salesperson has learned to do long ago, just giving a recap to the person of where they are, what have they done so far, why are they still blocked, where do they want to go. It is simply showing the person you care about what they say, and you're not only interested to sell, you're first and foremost interested into helping them to get a new result, to change something about their life. If they can have an image in their mind of you being a person who is legitimately here to help, many objections won't even surface later because they feel like you can be a friend, or at least somebody who they can really ask for advice to, not just a sales closer, but somebody they can really ask for advice. And this linchpin, or this key missing that he's enumerating, is the last step in this small model coming from NLP and coaching, basically the resource. If we have enumerated, you and I, that your current life is like this, that your desired dream life is like that, and that the main blockage is this. Okay, not enough skills, I don't believe in myself, dad never complimented me. Okay, those are the blockages, the psychological things that prevent you from going from A to B. Then we want to figure out the resource. What is that one resource specifically that will erase all the blockages and make you achieve that desired result or life you have been talking about? So by asking what have you been trying so far, it is another of those tips to cancel objections, because it is making the person dive deeper into the vision that actually, yes, they can succeed. If when you ask this, like what have you been trying so far, in 95% of cases, people haven't tried that much. They have tried maybe one thing, two things, and then they stopped because they procrastinated or they judged themselves for being a failure, and they stopped. So when you challenge that, another proof in their unconscious mind that actually, well, yes, you could succeed because you haven't tried what I am proposing to you right now.
a good back and forth. Like, when
Okay.
I need help, I ask them. Like, when I don't need help, when I can do it on my own, I just do my thing. But
Yeah.
I guess when I get stuck, like, hey, I need a bit of help to get past this.
Yeah, for sure, man. Awesome. And I guess, like, why is that important to you now, though?
Oh, because like people go to university and all that stuff, 3, 4 years. I've heard like they're not getting jobs after like studying for all this time, and like
Yeah,
I don't
man.
want to
And
go
people
down.
are spending like we spend like $100,000 on a university degree.
Is that how much it costs
You
now?
know, I mean, degrees go crazy, right? You know what I mean? So it's 4 years of your life, you know. Like, don't get me wrong. Hey, I'm all in. I'm all about education, but I think that there's, if you're looking to flip a burger, you probably shouldn't become a chef.
Makes sense.
You know, if you want to become a chef, you can become a chef. So what we're trying to do is learn the right skills to be able to do what we need to do. You know, if you want to go further into it, dude, you know, the rabbit hole goes deep on everything, right?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right here, and this is extremely important, when he's mentioning the cost of the university, 100K, that seems like just nonchalant, just one thing mentioned among many others. That is extremely important, because when you start framing the mind of somebody on a way higher price than the price you're going to ask them later, I think it is called the price anchor in the traditional sales terminology, basically you are providing a comparison they can refer to. Let's just understand or accept that no price on earth is a lot and no price is cheap. It is always depending on who do you compare that, what do you compare that to. If you live in a cheap country, everything looks accessible. If you live in a really expensive country or city, everything looks expensive compared to what you have been used to. So framing the mind of somebody during the call with something that is way more expensive than the price you're going to ask them will provide some easier acceptance that the price you're asking for is actually okay. It is not that much. And the slide metaphor, if you want to become a chef, you gotta learn the right skills. It is just reinforcing the idea in his mind that indeed the coaching service they are providing can make you learn the right skills. That is definitely what can help you. You have mentioned your main blockage was the lack of skills. Well, we can teach you those skills. Why not? Then from there, he is going to build up some more desire by making him describe even more his dream life, his desired life, and engaging him more into the product too. And then we are going to get back into the objections for why he still did not take action about his situation though.
Yeah, I mean, it's admirable though, right? You're obviously a hard worker, someone who kind of does what it takes to get the outcome. You know what I mean? But like, what's it actually doing to you? Not being able to do anything but fucking work and not being super satisfied.
I guess just I'm just not happy. I'm just like I'm just like kind of living to work instead of working to live.
You want to change that?
Of course, definitely.
Well, you don't have to. You haven't yet.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't want to wait like another 6 years to, get into a high paying role where, well, it would just take too long. I'm sick of waiting.
That's smart. I can understand that. Okay. And so I guess like with the skill set, the education, and everything you have in place right now, how close are you to being able to actually do that? Kind of remove your, get into a better career path, be able to make more money, be able to kind of Winnie the Pooh from home, like
nothing. I just know construction, a few leadership skills, and everything. And
okay.
now this is just me stuck here.
Okay. All right. So super cheesy, man. But like scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you're nowhere near it, 10 being you're super close. Like where are you at?
Oh, geez. 3.
Why aren't you a 7?
Don't have the right skills.
You want to change that?
Yeah.
You sure? You don't have to, buddy.
Right now he's definitely accelerating, maybe not in his voice tempo or behavior, but he's accelerating on the arguments or on the sales process, because now he's pushing both on the pain points and the pleasure points, both on why is it so painful to not have the desired life you would like to have, and how incredible could that be if you had finally achieved that dream life. This is creating a momentum of motivation. When you can push away from pain and toward pleasure, this is enhancing the motivation the person will have to comply and purchase or invest, and especially invest the right actions. They need to invest into the product or program so that they do get the results. So from there, the question, how close are you to actually do that? That is starting to lean into the final close. The same word actually, closing. When you are asking them, how close are you? Like, could that be into 1 month, into 3 weeks, into 1 year? How close? That is getting the goal more real in their head. In the end, sales, sometimes it's just coaching. You're just getting people more motivated and believing in themselves enough so that they can get the results. Sometimes it is just about that. It's not even about asking for money or getting them trapped into their psychological loopholes. None of that. It's just about helping somebody to get from A to B. which he makes even more clear by asking on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think you are? And he said that was just a random question, like overly simple. I would say this is not overly simple. I have used that in coaching so many times from the very beginning, framing the mind of somebody, assessing their situation, because quite often when somebody is complaining about the lack of results in their life, they just have an abstract idea of what's going wrong or how they could change, but it is not clear at all. When you put a number on it, suddenly it becomes extremely clear and vivid in their mind. Okay, I am there. I want to be there. Oh, now I know the steps are those. Quite simple.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's probably why I've stayed stuck in a bit of a comfort zone throughout these 4 years.
Just waiting for that new year to take over, right?
Got used to it.
You can change that?
Yeah, I do. I'm sick of working in the cold.
All right. Well, we're working hard enough. Maybe we can heat the earth a little bit. All right. I'll be out there with my spray cans and my CFCs, just doing a good thing for you. Well, let's try and bring you into the warmth. All right. Well, let me ask you, man. Like, what happens? What happens if you don't find those skills? You don't able to make that transition, and you just kind of stay doing what you're doing. Like, what happens then? Don't say you wouldn't let it happen, because, my friend, you have. Here we are.
No, look, I have been letting it happen for, like the past 6 months since I've been thinking about it. It just, same thing.
I thought it was 2 weeks. Now it's 6 months. How long have you really been thinking about making this change?
Oh no, I've been looking for 6 months. I've been looking for 2 weeks. I've been thinking about it for 6 months.
So what took you 5.5 months to start doing something about it?
Honestly, just being a pussy, probably.
All right, you want to change that?
Yeah, of course.
Well, of course. It took you 5.5 months to even reach out.
Yeah, look,
Right.
yeah.
Start
Look,
calling you Fuzzball.
I've just put it on the back pedal.
That's my cat's name.
Stayed in the comfort zone and everything. Like,
At this point, he's specifically starting to plant in his head, in his mind, the image of them working together. And the question, what took you 5.5 months to do something with that is kind of erasing the last possible objections that could arise when signing the contract. Because it's like, okay, what is the last thing you could argue about to tell me it is not going to work for you? What is the last thing? If we can get rid of that one, then there's basically no more limits. You can just make sure, you can just have the proof, yes, you can accomplish that, and then we can work together. Then I am going to move slightly faster here. They are going to enumerate some of the specific criteria and details of what the coaching program is made of. And then they finally get on the critical moment where they talk about the price.
Right? Well, actually, let me ask you a question first. Like, do you feel like us being able to teach you the skills, hold you the hand, and make sure that you actually do the things required to put you in some position where you can not only work less, right? So get from that 60 to 40 hours a week, but put you in a position to where you can be in a high growth, industry where there's actual career progression and get yourself to that 120K a year salary. Like, would that be worth like 20 grand?
Is it 20 grand?
I'm just asking, would it be worth it?
I mean, to have everything that you said, like, I say, like, yeah,
Why is that?
Would get me where I want to go, higher increase in salary. Like, I want to be on 100K. Like, that's 40K from, everything, work from home, don't have to wake up, work from home, Winnie the Pooh, as you said, so I can.
Yeah. I mean, if you're able to make an extra 40K a year for the next 10 years, like it's 400 grand.
Yeah. Could buy a house. Or maybe, get a mortgage.
Cash money.
Exactly.
All right. Well, the funding required for us to allocate the resources to be able to educate you in that way, where you can be in a position to make that a reality, is $10,000. How do you want to proceed from here?
Okay.
We have mentioned before the idea of the price anchoring their mind on a price that is way higher than what you want to ask for. And right here, he's doing that again. He's mentioning 20K, and the guy obviously playing the prospect, and even I guess he could identify with that situation, being worried about, oh, is it 20K? And he canceled that. No, well, I'm just saying, what if it was 20K? I didn't say it was, I said what if. Kind of mind-bending, but that is the purpose of starting to put some pressure. That is a lot of money. And then decreasing the price. That is one of the earliest principles in Robert Cialdini's book Influence. if you can give a contrast and if you can offer some deal to somebody, they will be inclined unconsciously to reciprocate and actually give you that money because you have been a friend, you have dropped down the price. That is not exactly what happened here, but the unconscious behavior behind that is always at play, even if we are not realizing it. And the other really interesting thing is the specific wording he used. He never said the price, the cost, all of those loaded financial terms. He said the funding required. Funding required is a much softer way of talking about the price. How much do you need to pay? No, the funding required and the funding required for the skills you have to develop. He did not say to buy the product. No, the funding required for the skills you would need to develop, which is exactly what the prospect has mentioned as being what he needs to go from A to B in his life. He is in lack of skills, and the wording is the funding required to access those skills. Oh, now it is attaching many more anchors, attaching to not something I need to pay for, but something I am going to achieve in my life because of that funding. That is changing the whole perception of how much does that cost.
Okay. Is there like do I have to like pay that all in full, like up front, or is there like somewhere we can like break it up?
Well, first and foremost, is it something that you want to do? And then from there, we can talk about logistics. We never let money in to get doing things, right?
Well, like, yeah, it seems like the right thing. Like, if I like put in everything, then
You sure?
yeah, like, yeah,
All right.
I want to do it. I want to do it. Like, I
All
don't.
right. All right, calm down, thirsty girl.
And finally, really interesting here again, to close the final deal, when he says, can I have some payment option? Now Matthew is offering resistance. Like, wait a minute. We are not going to accept anyone in that program. First of all, do you really want it? Because if you don't want it, why should we even engage you into it? That is a traditional strategy to slightly push people away from what you want to sell to them, to make it seem like a bit more scarce, a bit more difficult to enter, so that they get more compelled once they get in. And whenever something is not too easily accessible, we attach more value to it. Whereas when something can be received super easily, we are like, yeah, whatever. But something you have had to push to get, now you are going to attach much more interest to that thing even once you are inside the coaching program. And that concludes the whole deal. I was really impressed by Matthew RYDER. I had never seen him before. I think he's doing an incredible job. I'm pretty sure all of his students are experiencing a great value from the coaching program. I don't have any affiliation with him, by the way, so it is purely to share value to him. And at the same time, I do have something to propose you if you would like to accelerate your skills with closing, with handling objections whenever you have a difficult customer to deal with. I have assembled a series of lessons down below that you can find where you will learn to lead the mind of somebody like this very smoothly into a situation, an emotional place where they feel compelled about what you have to sell. You will notice the objections never need to arise if you frame their mind properly from the beginning, and you will access the main critical factors that make a sale work or not at all. This series of lessons is down below. You can find it by clicking on the first link, and I will see you soon on my end in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching.